Netflix's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I could describe it in one word. Brutal. Okay, well, that was 2 words. Sorry. But it's not without its flaws, and I'm going to talk about it in our review for Texas Chainsaw Massacres. Netflix's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah, that's the title. Yeah, so if you are new to this genre, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was brought to us by director Tobe Hooper back in 1974, and it told the story about 5 friends and picking up a hitchhiker and basically coming to a farmhouse where Leatherface brutally attacks them, and the family there too kills them. This time around, we are kind of in different territory. Now, this one is a direct sequel to that movie. In regards of how they've done the latest Halloween movies, think that, but not so much better acting. A little bit more brutalness when it came to it, especially for that last movie being called Halloween Kills. This one, no, this Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie ramps it up as far as the gore. But let's start off with the synopsis of what this movie is. Now, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 tells the story of after nearly 50 years of hiding, and that's going to be a key when I'm going to talk about a flaw a little bit later. Leatherface returns to terrorize a group of idealistic, I probably messed that word up, excuse me on that one, young friends who accidentally disrupt his careful, shielded world in a remote Texas town. Now, there's a lot to like about this movie, almost more so, I think, than the puns, and I'm quite stunned at how good this was. It's not like a top tier 10 out of 10 horror movie, but if you are a fan of horror movies, and much like I am, my collection back there, you're kind of used to these tropes. You're kind of used to characters being dumb. There's a lot of stuff, obviously, you're going to have to overlook. There's no secret to this. Leatherface is old, like really, really old, like grandpa old. He's probably in his, high, like 50s or 60s at this point. But the dude is brutal. He is big. He is terrorizing. And that is something I love that they touched on in this movie, is that he is like a force to be reckoned with. He's like a bear that's just waking up from hibernation and finding out that, I don't know, his cubs were killed or something. And he's just like, forget it. I am just going on a rampage and I'm killing everybody. Like, the sheer brutalness, like Michael Myers kind of brings that too, but Leatherface just has that sheer size. Like, he is a big motherfucker that you just don't want to fuck with. And when he hits you in the head, he's going to make sure he caves your head in. And there's multiple occasions that they show stuff like that in this movie. This movie is on Netflix, so there's really no like rating. It's pretty much, as far as I can tell, it seems like it's just unrated. The gore factor is there. If you're like a gore hound and you love your horror movies that have gore in there, trust me, there's plenty in here. There's like slicing, there's head bashing. Like, I mean, you got to give Leatherface a hand. If you watch the movie, you'll get that reference. In returning in this movie is just like I said with the Halloween movie, they're doing that sort of route of having a main character kind of come back and kind of reliving some horror in there to kind of relate it to the original one. We have Sally's character has come back, and they've explained kind of what happened to her this whole time and why is she back, and really, I gotta say, it doesn't hold that much power to it, much less how we had so much dedication and so much love for Laurie Strode, or Jamie Lee's character, coming back in multiple Halloween movies. Obviously, You just feel there's so much of a bond there, obviously, even if you want to ignore the brother sister, or if you still believe they're brother and sister, there's still such a force and a relationship there involving both of their worlds. This one, it felt like an afterthought. In fact, you think like, oh, she's going to be a badass, like final girl. And where that goes is just kind of just, it's a shame. Our main two final girls, I guess we want to call them, are sisters played by Melody and Lilia. And there's even a touch of something modern thrown in there, which is different. It's a lot of little subtle hints about gun control and about like school shooting and having post-traumatic stress. They do touch on a lot of that stuff with our characters there, and about how this journey is about starting over, and her kind of like being around a person that has a gun, and then her bullet wound. So those were very subtle touches that I kind of like. It brought it to a more modern feel for this Texas Chainsaw movie. It didn't kind of date it. And I like also that they kind of moved away from the house. It's a different setting, which is kind of cool. It's almost like a small Western, like ghost town that they kind of have this kind of taking place in. So I really like the setting for this. I like the brutalness that Leatherface brought himself. This Mark Birmingham character who played him did a real good job. I mean, the sheer size of him is terrifying when he comes to kill people. Even though I'm talking about the stuff I like, there are some flaws in here. And I have to say, it's probably the characters themselves. None of the characters are really that stand out. You don't find yourself kind of rooting for any of them. They're just kind of bland horror movie characters. Even though, the sisters, that's kind of neat that it's kind of different, other than it being like, oh, a boyfriend and girlfriend, or the final two, or some that, it's kind of cool that it's two sisters kind of taking on Leatherface, and I like that idea of this. All the characters are kind of just throwaways. There's none of them that you really find yourself caring about. When Leatherface kind of gets to start slashing and bashing, I like that, slashing and bashing. I should coin that. It's on Netflix, so if you have Netflix, it's well worth you like sitting down, grabbing some popcorn or some beers and watching the movie. If you like Texas Chainsaw, if you like Leatherface, or if you like a mainstream kind of horror movie, if you like the Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, if you like that whole new Halloween saga, it's definitely worth checking out, especially just to see kind of how different it can be. But like I said, you have to just go in not believing certain things. Obviously, it's been over 50 years. Why would the chainsaw just suddenly work? Yeah, but like I said, it's not without some disbelief and some flaws, but I think it's a solid ass movie. And frankly, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise overall has not been that well. I mean, most of these movies, when you're talking like 8 and 9 films, they're really not that good. It's usually 1 or 2 gems in there. But I gotta say, this one is a solid watch. I think if you have Netflix, it's definitely worth a watch. That's my thoughts on that. And if you want to check out this review for what we did on this movie, check out this one. Thank you guys for tuning in, and if you want to see more content like this, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Let me know now in the comments section what was your favorite kill in this movie, and I'll see you guys on another video very, very soon. Peace out.